Hello, my name is Jenna Trainer, and I will be pitching part of my group's film, Mobster Life Inheritance. An exposed family secret derails a college student's life. To start, I wanted to share some positive press we have received from prestigious film reviewers. Wow, best film of 2020, New York Times. Most unique female character development I've seen in years, Variety magazine. These writers must be geniuses, IMDb, and the praise goes on and on. I hope after this pitch you feel the same. Now I will set the scene for our film. Paula, a smart and innocent student at Columbia University, is exposed to New York's drug trafficking ring by her mischievous roommate, revealing a twisted family secret. After failing to enter her family business, Paula is recruited by their top competitor to lead a young team. Experiencing the exciting yet dangerous life of a mobster, she craves more power. In order to prove herself, she receives a task to eliminate members of the main competition, her own family. Now I will get into explaining our characters. I will start with our protagonist, Paula Silvers. Paula's an 18-year-old studying at Columbia University. She is a shy girl that often keeps to herself, but is incredibly punctual and academically driven. Paula also participates in many extracurriculars, such as singing in chorus, leading the school's climate change group, and practicing self-defense as advised by her mother. Our next character is Miss Rebecca Silvers, Paula's mother. Rebecca is 34, a young mom having her daughter at just 16. She's known for her occupation of owning a flower shop, but as her daughter aged, she knew that would not be enough to support the lifestyle she wanted for her daughter. Rebecca trained to operate a secret drug dealing business, but vowed to never involve children, especially her daughter Paula. Next, we have Izzy Johnson, Paula's roommate at Columbia. Along with being a student, Izzy is a small-time drug dealer. Due to family tensions, Izzy wants to prove that she can support herself and uses her drug money to pay tuition. Izzy loves the New York party scene and can commonly be found at a club. Our last main character is Pedro Hernandez, aged 28. After his parents were murdered by a gang called De La Ghetto, Rebecca Silvers, Paula's mother, took him in and raised him alongside Paula. Pedro became involved in Rebecca's drug business as her muscle because he was large in stature and had experience in martial arts. However, Pedro was always jealous of Rebecca's power and authority. He wanted enough power in the drug world to make De La Ghetto pay for his parents' death. Now to go more in depth on the plot of our film. The movie will start with character development for Paula. We will take the audience through a typical day for her to show that she is an average college student. Next, we will introduce roommate Izzy. The first plot point comes when Izzy invites Paula to go out with her that night. Paula reluctantly agrees. When they're leaving, Izzy mentions that she needs to make a quick stop to pick up drugs so that she is to sell that night. Out of pure interest, Paula agrees. Izzy leads Paula to her mother's flower shop. When her second cousin, Pedro, steps out, Paula quickly realizes that Pedro is the dealer. Rather than being scared or upset, Paula is fascinated by the deal. It was so clear to Pedro how interested Paula was that he even asked if she would be interested in dealing herself. Unknowing to the three standing outside the flower shop, Rebecca is observing this entire interaction on the surveillance cameras. In a rage that Pedro would involve her daughter, Rebecca bursts out of the shop to scold him, revealing her involvement in the gang to her daughter in the process. Rebecca fires Pedro and blows her cover all in one scene. After taking a night to sleep on this crazy realization, Paula realizes that she isn't a child anymore and requests to join her mom's drug ring. Rebecca angrily refuses and sends Paula back to school. We then cut over to Pedro. After Rebecca fires him, he is furious and humiliated. He decides to get revenge by building a stronger mob than hers, a mob strong enough to also take down Delegado, the gang that killed his parents. His first call, of course, is to hire Izzy and Paula. Over the span of a couple months, Izzy and Paula create great business for Pedro. Paula is exhilarated by this exciting lifestyle and realizes that she's quite good at it. As she makes more and more money for Pedro, she wants more power in the mob as well. Pedro is really going to make her work for that power. Paula and Izzy are faced with the task of taking out Pedro's rival gang, De La Ghetto, those, of course, who are responsible for his parents' death. Paula and Izzy are willing to pass their moral lines in order to gain power and respect in Pedro's gang. Paula and Izzy face De La Ghetto in an epic shootout, leaving no survivors. Feeling extremely powerful for orchestrating the death of those who killed his parents, Pedro enters a bit of a power trip. Why stop now? Why not take out all of his competition? He then asks Paula and Izzy to come back to his shop for one last task.
The time has finally come. The kill awaits. When they get back to their home base, Paula and Izzy are greeted with a helpless body who is gagged, brutally tied up, and has a bag over her head. One can only imagine the fear and thoughts racing through the victim's head. And while Paula and Izzy are somewhat struggling with the moral implications of committing a kill, the decision becomes even harder when they find out the ultimate truth and biggest conflict and plot twist in the story. The victim is Paula's very own mother. This is the climax of the film when Paula rips off the bag and finds Rebecca. This introduces the biggest conflict within the story. We see Paula's character struggle with the greatest dilemma of her life, testing her morals and emotions. Will her need to be accepted into this gang and want for a thrilling lifestyle overcome her? Or will she succumb to her doubts and not being able to kill her mother? Faced with the biggest decision of her life, Paula chooses to side with family. She cannot kill the one person who she has always loved and seen as her hero. But the suspense does not stop there. She then has to defend herself from Pedro, since she has just betrayed his gang. She, Izzy, and Rebecca ultimately get free by killing Pedro in a brutal, gruesome way. They break his neck. After the climax of the film and this scene, we finally get to resolving our protagonist's goal. Can she join her mother's mob? Rebecca allows her and Izzy to join, finally understanding their value to the gang. In the film, our focalization is geared towards suspense, drama, and testing people's morals. To explain, the suspense and drama we will be using is a major tool in reeling in the audience. Initially, we will do this by making the audience speculate why the drug deal is taking place outside of Paula's so-called innocent mother's flower shop. This will hook the audience and make them want to watch even more. Then, of course, the audience will be in excruciating curiosity, wondering whether or not Paula decides to kill Rebecca or not. And the major theme throughout the movie will beg the question if people will cross their moral boundaries or not. As for the narrator, Paula, our female lead, she will have a strong and powerful voice. We are doing a homodiegetic narration. Our narration is our protagonist who has already lived these events. Her tone will convey that she is stubborn, mainly because she is smart and well-educated, which will be obvious through her vocabulary, ideas, and thoughts. We want a strong female lead. Process and methodology. While I have already explained who our protagonist is and the setting and the major conflict, I think it is important to focus now on character and plot development. Paula's development answers our leading question, will she commit the same sin her mother did? And we see that she has. More importantly, we get to see the relationship of a mother and a daughter. We get to see just how a strong family is and what people will and won't do for their loved ones. The plot and characters develop together. as the story progresses, we jointly see our females come to find who they are and what they stand for. We see that Paula remains with her morals and stands by her family. No matter how tough or strong someone may be, their Achilles heel may still be their family. This is what Rebecca is for Paula. Our annex helps lays out our story in a well-organized way. The first graph goes to show that our goal in answering the question, will Paula inherit her mother's sin, was achieved. She did in fact inherit it. As I have explained, Paula killed humans and therefore took on the same role of her mother. She succumbed to the sin, and that is what we have tried to portray. The columns lay out how this happened by explaining the plot development. The general setup is Columbia University and New York. The specific setup explains Paula's want to be part of a mob. The development shows how Paula plans to achieve this goal by joining Pedro's gang and coming head to head with her mother. The fight of forces shows her choice to stand by Rebecca, and the resolution is that she has ultimately proved herself to her mother and gets to join her mob. Now, the second graph takes us through the basic and major events that push the story forward. The inciting incident began the story so that we would be able to find out Paula's mother's secret that she is a drug dealer. The next two major plot points are Paula accepting to join Pedro's mob and then disobeying him when she doesn't kill her own mother. Though, we come to the conclusion that the ultimate goal of our protagonist, Paula, was reached. She was able to join her mother's mob and join the family business.